I want to thank you for I want to thank you all for taking time out of your day to join us. We're drawing attention to one of our planet's most serious human rights crises. China's 1.4 billion population is 94% Han ethnic majority. And of that 6%, the non-Han, one of the largest ethnic groups are the Uyghurs, who along with the Kazakh, Kyrgyz, Tajiks, make up what used to be the majority of the population in a huge region officially called the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. But Eastern Turkestan is the preferred name for Uyghurs themselves. My family and I lived in the region for 7 years in the 1980s and 90s and witnessed the tension between the Uyghurs, Kazakhs, and the majority Han. In retrospect, those years were the golden years. At the end of the Trump administration, at the start of the Biden era, both secretaries of state clearly said what was happening to the local population in this part of China is a genocide. The US Holocaust Memorial Museum, which has a think tank attached to it, said in a recent report, the Chinese government's campaign against the Uyghurs in Xinjiang is multifaceted and systemic. Core strategies of the campaign include identity-based persecution, mass detention, surveillance, enforced sterilizations, forced labor, and forced assimilation. But behind these policies are real people with families and compelling personal stories. And we're grateful to have Gulchehra Hoja with us today to hear more about her story. And briefly, she has an incredible history, but let's highlight a few things. She's a journalist who's worked for Radio Free Asia since 2002. She's received the 2019 Magnitsky Human Rights Award, the Courage in Journalism Award in 2020, recognition as one of the most influential Muslims in the world every year since 2016, and an appearance at the Oslo Freedom Forum in 2020. And again, just last week, she's just back. So Gulchehra, welcome back. Welcome to the event. We're looking forward to hearing from you.
Oh, thanks, Bill. Thank you, everyone, to participating in our event, and thank you for the organizers. Thank you for having me here, and very touching introduce, Bill. Thank you so much. Yeah, I am a Uyghur journalist. Most importantly, I have to highlight Uyghur. Yes, my name is Gulchehra Hoja in Uyghur language. My name's meaning hope and smiling face or beautiful face. I love smile. So I am very excited to talking about my book. Any further question or anything, I will be happy to answer you, and as I can with my knowledge. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Gul, and thanks to Bill for leading the charge and advocacy on the Uyghur issue and the genocide. We're so grateful for his leadership and how he invites all of us into this space. So, Gul, we wanted to start off by asking you, why did you write this book? And if you could possibly, Bill kind of told us a little bit, but if you could set the context of the geography of East Turkestan for our audience, that would also be wonderful.
First of all, I want to mention I dedicate this book to my beloved father, Magnitsky Hoja, who has taught me how to love myself, my people, my country, and the entire human beings' dignity and freedom. The hardest part of my life was 2 decades of the time during which I was forbidden to see my father again and my family again. Conversely, the separation has trained me well enough. It also told me that the love of human beings is unstoppable regardless of the time and the space, and such misfortune would tighten the bonds actually of missing hearts and make them even more vital. My father used to tell me with the devotion and the compassion that even a stone is precious in its belongs. In Uyghur we say taş mı düşken yere de eziz. I lived through the deep values of this proverb, which is often applied among the Uyghurs who, separated from their birthplace, their homeland. This is another point that has greatly inspired me to begin writing this book. I also dedicate this book to individuals who have paid a great price for their families, homeland, peace, freedom, love, dignity, or other sacredness. Can you tell me what was your second question? Sorry.
Yes, so I was wondering just if you could set the context of the geography of East Turkestan.
Oh yeah, my beautiful country, East Turkestan, officially called right now Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. This name given by Chinese government, CCP, after they occupied my country. As Bill mentioned, that's the largest autonomous region in China. And I hate that word, like occupation. But our reality is, from the 1955, world knows my homeland as Xinjiang. And also, I don't like the word about, majority or minority. If we just differentiate people by their, population, it's not fair, I feel. Yeah, we are Uyghurs in the Uyghur region are the majority from the long history, but today they call us minority people. Yeah, but in East Turkestan, we have 14, 15 different group of Turkic people as Kazakh, their ethnicity, all very close, and their culture also very similar in Central Asia. We mostly part of actually the Central Asia and Turkic-speaking people. We have Uyghur, Kazakh, Kyrgyz, Uzbek, Tatar, Tajiks. Of course, we have little different from language, but we also all can communicate with use own languages. It's very beautiful to live with all those ethnicity. And I grown up in very educated and very cultural family. Even though Chinese government limit Uyghur people after occupation to teach their or kids or practice their religion and their identity and the culture, but in the home we still follow our what we call value of life. It's based on Islam religion, Muslim, because majority of people who living in East Turkestan, all Muslims, like Uyghurs, Kazakh, Kyrgyz, all. The value keeps us actually very different from the Chinese people, Chinese culture. That's why Chinese government, especially when the Xi Jinping in power, because his dream is, China dream is just turn all those different ethnicity to the one nation, like Chinese. So that's why they seeing our difference is threatened to the Chinese government, threatened to the CCPs. That's why today all Uyghurs facing genocide, all Kazakh and other ethnicity also facing genocide because of their identity, because of who they are.
Well, Go, if I could jump in and bring the questioning back to your parents. You write beautifully in the book. It's a memoir, so we get it from the early part of your life to the present day.
Yep.
You talk about your father and your mother, and your mother was able to visit you in America under the guise of trying to bring you back to China.
Mm-hmm.
And can you tell us a little bit about that and
Mm-hmm.
about that visit?
Yes, I was a TV host in Xinjiang TV. It's the main local TV created by CCP also. But we, among that years, we have little freedom to use our Uyghur language in TV and other media outlets. Well, we cannot say it's media, it's propaganda tools, of course, but still, because majority of people who working in there, all Uyghurs, somehow we can escape those censors to still giving valuable program to the Uyghur people to enjoy and learn. Also to keep our culture and language alive. And after I decided to not go back to China in 2001, when I have an opportunity to visit Europe, after I came to United States, just after I announced my name in Radio Free Asia, and they target, CCP targets my family back home, even my friends, my teachers, all been questioned, and they put me in their wanted list, and they erased all the recordings. As a TV personality, I had chance to make some movies, music videos also in back home, quite popular. And especially kids, Uyghur kids, loves me as a sister, as a teacher, because I have created first ever Uyghur language TV program for the Uyghur kids. So they even erased all the records with the Uyghur kids. That's hurts me a lot. I miss them. I miss Uyghur children's. Those years was my most happiest moment in my life. And after they monitoring our conversation, my families, they listening our phone, and every time they came to our house, just force my parents to convince me to come back. And they will say, oh, we will not do anything, we will just treat you as before. You still can continue your program with Uyghur kids, those kind of soft threat. And I didn't listen, so I continue working on human rights issue and other issues in the Uyghur region to spotlight to those, the people's life, what the Uyghur people going through. So when my mom come in 2004, actually Chinese government giving her passport with those conditions, saying, we give you opportunity to travel to US to see your daughter. We know you miss her a lot, but when you come back, you have to come back with her, convince her to go back to the country, to the China. But my mom really tried very hard with shame. I don't know, the very mixing feeling, she's afraid, she's horrifying, and also with love, I know she doesn't want to say those words, but that's the condition she can go back to my father, of course. There's my father, and my brother was still waiting for her to come back, of course. So when she said with very sad face and the tears I can feel. So I said, Mom, I got it. Thank you so much. But freedom is worth to give everything, if I have another chance to choose, I will still choose this way. I will choose freedom. And she understood. And she bring that message to the CCP, of course. And after they confiscate my father's passport, my mother's passport, after that in 2005, I even couldn't see my mom again. And in those 22 years, I couldn't see my father and my brother. It's been 22 years this year. They've been they're paying very high price for my freedom of speech.
So Gul, wondering if you could share a little bit more about So when you were growing up in Xinjiang or East Turkestan, what were some of the challenges that you faced, even as a younger person growing up there as a child and into adulthood and adolescence? For example, thinking about the story that you shared in your memoir about being denied a major acting role, for example. So what were some of those challenges that you faced? And then what were some of the good things or the blessings that you look back on and are grateful for as well?
Mhm. As I mentioned, when I was a child, our generation is very fortunate generation. I can compare, if we can, from here to there. So because we can learn our language at school, we can practice our culture and value at home, even the society. But after my teenager years, like 1980, 1990, the whole situation changes because of China using the mass immigrant policy, like immigrant Chinese people to our country. After that, the land, the natural resources, everything occupied by those Han Chinese immigrants. And Uyghurs and other majority people in the Uyghur region facing discrimination. And the limitation of using your own language, culture, environment, everything is year by year limited. So when I was in university, we heard so many young graduation people couldn't have a job. Those Uyghur, Kazakh, and other, they're facing difficulty to manage their life, and even streets name changed to Han's name, and even some cities name changed, and you can see less Uyghur books and the history books, and the language also dropped from using in a government level and in the schools. And we witnessed everything. And 1997, I first time witnessed how Chinese government using their army to crack down the peaceful Uyghurs in the street in Gulchehra. So I feel like, oh, we are different. They're using army, you usually army for war, for your real enemy who threats you. But peaceful people being killed by Chinese army, I couldn't accept that. And many questions come to me. Before that, in the home, we are not even talk about the politics with our parents. They're very avoid those kind of question if we ask about why, Uyghurs' life very different from the Chinese people, why they're living very good, condition, why Uyghurs still cannot having a job or something. They just avoid those questions. They just say, don't ask those questions. You will understand when you grow up, But even I grow up, I consider me as myself as adult. I still couldn't, figure it out why. But we know our country is occupied, invaded by Chinese government. East Turkestan is our country's old name, but we cannot say to anybody to talk about those subjects. We were kids grown up with this fear. We know if we say about, East Turkestan or freedom or something, we and our family would face very hard time. It's dangerous for us. We all know that. But inside the questions and at the same time, the proud to be Uyghur is, mixed, very, very, strong fear comes to us when you grow up, because the policy also very harsh to Uyghur year by year. And as everybody knows, genocide not happens in one night. It was there. It was beginning actually with the occupation, and it developed to today. But because of I was born that period time, we have a little bit freedom. That's why I could learn who I am. I could learn who are the Uyghurs, what is my homeland, what is my history. That's why the proud of being Uyghur is part of me. It nevertheless. So my generation of Uyghurs mostly all knows their identity and all very proud of their identity. That's why today most of our generation who's born after 1980 or 90, those people end up with concentration camp and being victim of Chinese government's genocide against Uyghurs today. If I didn't came to US, maybe I am the one of them. Maybe even I'm not alive today. So this opportunity I cannot waste. I have to tell the truth to the world. I have to tell the Chinese government, even you occupied our country with your military, with your many tactics, but you cannot occupy our mind, our heart. We continue this proud and our knowledge to teach our kids, even generation to generation.
Well, Gul, I want to stay on that topic. Thank you for sharing that. And you've been in America now almost half your life, and recently you had a birthday, so Mubarak olsun
Thank you, Rahmat.
on that milestone. So I've had the privilege of being in your home and drinking etken chai, and
Yeah.
so you and your husband are raising 3 Uyghur American teenagers.
Yep.
And so my question is, what is it like with what you've just shared about the DNA of Uyghur identity? What is it like being planted in America, raising children, but having your homeland and your close relatives in such turmoil back home?
Bill. You want me to cry? Yeah. Today, Uyghurs victimized, our dream, our identity victimized, right? That's why I consider every Uyghur whose exile is, very fortunate people, and they are survivors to keep Uyghurs alive today. You know, ever since working as Uyghur journalist at RFA, years I start to tell real story about, stories about the Uyghurs' life that full of pain. Lately, stories about the Uyghur genocide. I have been reporting along with my colleagues at Radio Free Asia is about the systematic religious and ethnic persecution of Uyghurs and other groups in my homeland, East Turkestan. As Chinese leader Xi Jinping has specifically ordered to break their lineage, break their roots, break their connections, and break their origins to implement this heinous crimes since 2016. The Chinese government has established a network of concentration camps, educating and promoting religious beliefs as a mental illness, extremism. As a result, right now, more than 3 million of Uyghurs and others were brutally persecuted and arbitrarily interned in the concentration camps, where Uyghurs and other minorities are facing torture, brainwashing, humiliation, humanization, rape, even organ harvesting, and death. You can imagine we are working all those topics. Right now, more than 3 million of Uyghurs and other were interned in the concentration camps, including my family members of me and my colleagues' family, all around about 50 to 60 people.
Mhm.
And as we document, as we published what goes on in those camps is brainwashing, drugging, forced abortion, forced sterilization, torture, starvation, forced labor. So the most heartbreaking part is children. Also, children are separated from their parents, placed in their own children camps. They may even facing the same treatment, same torture, brainwash. And Uyghur people have no political or human rights and freedom or religion in China. The identity of the entire Uyghur people is being wiped out, and their existence is threatened. So being Uyghur American in the America, we really appreciate we have a freedom for exercise our religion, our culture, everything we want. That's why me and my husband doing our best. We teaching our kids our language at home, and I am keeping my Uyghur culture and our value, Islamic value at home also. So this is also, I feel it's my duty. So just because we have worked to expose the abuses that would otherwise be silenced by China's state-controlled media and CCP authorities, we become all Uyghur journalists becoming the target of an authoritarian regime. So my kids also know what happened to my family back home. So if we have time, I can give a little bit information about that. So since we worked on expose the genocide, first CCP arrest my brother. I only have one younger brother, younger than me, only 2 years. He arrested in 2017, September. When I heard that from my mom, I was ready to do something, to speak about this. But my mom begging me says, I already lost one daughter, so I don't want lost my son again. So please keep quiet. And because your brother didn't do anything wrong, I believe they will release him soon. We waiting 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. And then in 2018, February 1st, the CCP ordered to target all my family, all around 24 people arrested in just one night, 2018, February 1st. I heard that from one friend in February 3rd. So that moment, I feel I died already, actually, and couldn't think and I don't have fear that moment. I am just so angry, but I don't know what to do, helpless. So, and I decided to speak to the world what happened to us. So after that, I was gave a speech to the public and medias, and also in the congressional hearing. I was the first Uyghur who testified about the genocide, CCPs, to our people in US Congress. So after that, several lawmakers asking Chinese government about my family members. And then they, after 40 days, they released my mother. And from my mother, I know all about what happened that night to my families. Actually, that moment, my father was in the hospital because of the stroke. They couldn't move my father. They just isolate my father, but other 23 of my relatives, including my mother, my aunt, other cousins, all was arrested and interned to the concentration camp. Right now, I can speak with my parents 1 or 2 a month with several conditions, but my colleagues, most of my colleagues and other exiled Uyghurs until today still cannot speak with their family back home and even doesn't know are they alive or not. This is the reality. We all have iPhone in our hand. whenever we want, we can reach out anybody in the world, around the world. But Uyghurs today cannot reach out their own family, own parents.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gul, for sharing your story with us and also giving us a chance to learn and understand about what's happening there, about the genocide, about the effects on the Uyghur people and the many abuses of power and oppression that are taking place. And I know that it's yeah, such a heartbreaking struggle for you personally, but of course so inspiring to see your advocacy and how you're fighting for freedom for your people back in East Turkestan. And
Thank you. I speak today for my mother, my father, my brother, and the millions of innocent lives who are desperate to be saved. For Uyghurs today, choosing faith is also tantamount to choosing death, actually. Yet they have not lost faith in justice. And the Chinese government is trying to silence me and journalists. Also, they're using different tactics. Their money, their power to silence everyone in the world. That's why the history is repeating, and we are witnessing everything today.
Yeah, and I know Bill is going to ask you a little bit more about Radio Free Asia, and I'm curious for you in this struggle for Uyghur freedom and liberation, what is, and given your book, your memoir, what do you think, how would you say like the power of storytelling, what's the role of storytelling in this struggle for freedom, and what's the significance of you and others sharing their stories to be able to advocate for freedom?
Yeah. Silence cannot help anything. I believe, as a journalist, I believe the voice matter, so just simply for doing my job of reporting about what is happening in the Uyghur region, the Chinese government has targeting my family, accused me actually being a terrorist and put me on their wanted list in 2017. They announced in CCTV, like main TV station in Beijing, China. I watched my mother and my brother on video giving forced testimony on Chinese TV. My brother denounced me. I knew he was simply reading from the script and he was alive. The video proved that my brother had not been out of prison very long because his hair was just starting to grow. Sorry for this phone. I have to, sorry. I'm sorry for disruption. Yeah, and my brother denounced me, and I noticed my brother had not been out of prison very long because his hair was just starting to grow back. I know him, and he loves his hair, and he was very handsome guy. But I from that TV, I barely recognize his face. For me to see him alive, even in that rough shape, meant everything to me. And my mom, this year, 77 years old. She's a internment camp survivor. And her life was teaching students about medicine. she was worked 40 years in Medical University of Uyghur region. But Chinese government put her that position and even label her, my father, as a terrorist. And this is the price we pay for the truth we talking about today. So thank you for listening to me, because we paid high price for to tell the truth.
Thanks, Gul. And this I'm addressing now everyone who's watching and listening, to please go on the Radio Free Asia. Just put that in your Google, and there are a whole long list of articles in English written by Gulchehra and her Uyghur American colleagues. And you can learn so much through the archives. And so in your book, Gulchehra, you talk movingly about your parents, and I'm just remembering your mother being handcuffed to a pipe, and sharing a overcrowded room, a woman who's had a distinguished professional career. And so back to Becca's question, the power of memoir, the power of storytelling, is so important to get behind the facts, because we can hear the headlines about the genocide, and but when we actually see the gritty details of a human life, your Radio Free Asia colleagues and their similar family struggles to yours, it moves us very deeply.
Thank you. Yeah, by writing this book, I also intend to tell second generation Uyghurs, Uyghur diasporas, that they should be proud and remember their identity and the ego. Any place that bestows you freedom, human life, and love, in fact, is your family and your homeland. Regardless of where you live, all of us are the colorful flowers of the garden of earth. In order to make it even more beautiful, we need to live and devote ourselves like flower. You may remember or tell others what I have briefly said here and in my book. I hope it will be shine beauty and hope into you and others. That's why I just gives very detailing information about how I grow, how this flower grow, and whatever we achieve, wherever we go, but our root still in that homeland. That's why my book names Hashmuch Ganyir'de Aziz. So I just want to say being a human, being different is beautiful. You know, we should appreciate because we are different. That's why this world so colorful and beautiful. But CCP doesn't want to be different from them. That's why today genocide happening. But I will continue my fight for the freedom for my people, and I will continue teach my kids, and I will tell the truth to the world. Nothing can stop us. And I believe, just like today, you are hearing me, the whole world are hearing us.
Yes.
So that's why I don't lose hope. Keep telling my story. Any tragedy behind this beautiful story also. Yes, it's heartbreaking today. That's why freedom so valuable. That's why.
Gulchehra, one last question, and it's a personal question. In your memoir, you talk about your faith. I want to give you a chance to talk about how your faith has played such a pivotal role in your life and in the context of your resiliency in the midst of the genocide.
You know, you all learned what's going on in Uyghur homeland with Xi Jinping's no mercy policy. What Uyghurs are facing today is genocide in every aspect of their lives, including their religion also. Religion is very important of Uyghur culture, part of the Uyghur culture, part of the who we are. Today, you know, just for Uyghurs, like having a Quran at home or wearing just a hijab, headscarf, or having beer, considered as a terrorist or extremist. But we have to remember Chinese government not only targeting Muslims, they also open war to any religious as well. We also know the other believers in Uyghur region also in the concentration camp today. So the religious for the Chinese government is mental illness, whose believers they treat people like have a mental health problem. That's why they force into the concentration camp to brainwash with the CCP's communist idea. So actually, we are witnessing and allowing the history to repeat itself. This is not only Uyghurs' tragedy, this is human tragedy. That's why we all have responsibility to stop this genocide. Any religion have the same root, same lesson to teach people, which is love and respect each other and peace, accept each other, coexist, right? Whatever the Islam or the other religion is the same. So today Uyghur people have no political or human rights and freedom of religion in China. So Chinese government knows the religious played very huge part of Uyghurs' life and actually exist as a different cultural people. They using long term of assimilation didn't work well because of their belief. That's why Chinese government also target Uyghurs' religion to erase their religious belief. For me, as a, sorry, Bill, as a Uyghur, as a Muslim woman, keeping my religion same important as keep myself hopeful and keep my language and culture alive and keep my identity alive. Religious has huge role.
Thank you, Gul, for sharing that on both a larger cultural level as well as personal. And I know many watching this are you personally will be in our prayers, as well as your family back home. So thank you so much for taking the time to share with us. Everyone, a stone is most precious where it belongs. Please, you see it in the chat. Please get a copy. So many people have read it, just say they can't put it down. It's a very powerful memoir. So
thank you.
again, congratulations.
Of course, sorry. Of course, as an author, I want to more and more people could read my book, my memoir. It's all about not only about my life, about Uyghurs' hope, Uyghurs' wish, and also about background information about why today we being target of a CCP, being genocide, victimized. But we are more than that. You can understand. I believe if you read my book, you can understand. We Uyghurs, just a peaceful people, just as like you. We just want to exist and live like Uyghur, live as we wish with our identity. Our struggle of many, many years just for this, just being a Uyghur. And we extremely consider about our future generations and what could they face actually, all about what we could do today. Yeah, just want to say we all have a responsibility for our other generation, just like today kids asking about people who lived in the world War II, when the genocide happened to Jewish people, why people didn't stop it. Someday in the future, our next generation will ask the same question from you, from me. So we have to prepare, we have to have an answer to what we believe in the up, and also to our generation as well.
I believe that with all my heart, as do many of my friends, colleagues on the call. So thank you. We're going to let you have the last word there. But Becca, can you put in the chat? We have 3 organizations in Washington, D.C. You've heard about RFA, but we have the Uyghur Human Rights Project, the Uyghur American Association, and Campaign for Uyghurs. So we invite you to go to their websites. There's calls for action on each one. There's the Uyghur Wellness Initiative as well on there. But go to their websites, learn more. This is on our watch now, as Gulchehra just mentioned. It's happening now. This is current time. It's not, there's a historical background, but the genocide is present day.
Still happening. Yes,
So,
unfortunately. We've been talking about this topic more than 6 years. It's still happening, but we should question why we don't have the power to stop it. So, but I believe if you heard the truth, if people all paying attention to this cause, it's a human tragedy. I believe we together can stop it. I still believe.
it's grassroots. So join the movement, please. There's room at the table.
Yeah, somehow just speak for us. At least do something. Even share, just using your finger in the internet or phone, or asking someone, or talk to one Uyghur even. They will be happy, In my career, 22 years in the RFA, we were just trying so hard to introduce us, as people, like different people from Chinese. We are Uyghurs, please look at us. We have this, we have, Unfortunately, today, world, most media recognize us as a victim, but we don't want, presented in the stage just as a victim of this genocide. We are more than that. Please learn, please paying attention to us, because we are part of this world, colorful world. We don't proud to be recognized as a victim. We are Uyghurs.
Okay. Well, on that note, we'll end this call. Thank you all for joining us
Thank you.
today.
Thank you so much for doing this wonderful event.
It's our honor.
I feel supported. I believe Uyghurs all. Thank you, Bill. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's been it's a team. It takes a village, and I'm grateful for the village. All right. Goodbye, everyone. Have a great day.